What's up guys, you're watching KeyBonBon, and today I'm showing you how and why I bag lube my Switch springs. Bag lubing is exactly what it sounds like. You take your lube, your springs, a plastic bag, and you shake them all up. I'll get into the specifics of how much lube you should use and give you some tips to ensure that the lube is spread out evenly, but before I do that, let's talk about why you would even want to bag lube your springs. Lubing springs and switches in general is a good idea to make the switch feel smoother and get rid of any pinging that may be coming from the spring. The most popular way of lubing springs involves using a brush to apply the lube to the springs, but bag lubing has become more popular lately as people are looking for ways to optimize and make this process more efficient. Personally, I don't bag lube all my springs because I don't mind using a brush to lube them, and it won't save you that much time considering it only takes something like 5 seconds to use a brush to lube a spring. However, I do bag lube my springs ahead of time when I plan on spring swapping my switches. In fact, that's exactly what I'll be doing in next week's video, where you'll see me spring swap the vintage blacks on this M60 with lighter springs. Alright, let's get lubed up. The most important part of this process is getting the right lube. You need a thin lube that can move around the bag. Today I'm using Krytox 105 from Novelties, but any oil-based lube should do the trick. The number 105 indicates the viscosity or thickness of the lube. As this number goes up, so does the thickness or viscosity, which explains why Krytox 205 is thicker than Krytox 105, and Tribosis 3204 is thicker than Tribosis 3203. Generally speaking, if you see a 1 in front of the lube, it's an oil-based lube, and if you see a 2 in front of it, it's a grease-based lube. I've tried bag lubing with greases such as Tribosis 3203, but it's a little too thick to get the job done right and it won't spread evenly, so I highly recommend you get an oil-based lube such as Krytox 105. Secondly, you need your springs. Today I'm using 63.5 gram springs from Sprit. The 63.5 indicates the bottom out force, which is the amount of force required to fully compress the spring. Personally, I prefer to stay within the 60 to 67 gram range, which includes Holy Pandas, Alpacas, and Gatoron Yellow inks. But some people prefer heavier springs ranging anywhere from 80 grams to 100 grams or more, which includes Cherry Blacks, Cherry Clears, Halo Trues, and Box Navies. And last but not least, you need a plastic bag like this. Nothing fancy here, a simple sandwich bag will do the trick. The first thing you're going to want to do is place your springs in the plastic bag. Then take your lube and use 30 to 40 drops for every 100 springs. If you bought a half-ounce container like I'm using, it should last you for about 1400 springs. Given that this container was $19, it comes out to a little over 1 cent per spring, which is actually not bad at all. Keep in mind you can actually reuse this bag to lube more springs. Just make sure you use half as many drops as you would for a brand new bag. Once your lube is in the bag, seal the bag except for the corner, use that corner to blow some air into the bag, and close the seal. Now you'll just shake it for about 30 seconds, making sure the springs move around the entirety of the bag. Later you'll see why this step is important. Once you're done shaking the bag, remove the majority of the air and now massage the oil left in the bag into your springs. And do that for about 30 seconds to a minute. Try to massage as many springs as you can, covering the side of the springs as well as the tops and bottoms. When I'm done massaging the springs, I like to use flathead tweezers to take them out, although sometimes they get stuck together and I just use my fingers to split them apart. To ensure that the top and bottom of the spring is lubed before placing the spring in a switch, I like to rub the top and bottom of the spring against the plastic walls of the bag. Here, I'm placing my freshly lubed spring on an unlubed koala switch. And that's all there is to it. If you use a different technique for bag lubing your springs, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. I've got a ton of keyboard content coming out in the next few weeks, so if that's something you'd be interested in watching, remember to hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!